far out on the stormy seas, sailors whispered of a ship that would never touch port. They called it the Flying Dutchman. A ghostly vessel cursed to sail for eternity, its captain defying the heavens, doomed to roam the oceans, lost in endless night. On stormy nights, when the fog rolls in and the waves crash like thunder, the Dutchman is said to appear. Its sails glow like fire, shadows flicker across the deck, and the cries of lost sailors echo over the water. Ships passing too close speak of sudden chills, a thick, unnatural fog, and the feeling that something is always watching. Some claim seeing it is a sign of doom, storms, shipwrecks, vanished crews. Others whisper it searches for something, though no one knows what. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanishes, leaving only fear and questions that haunt the living. What truly happens to those who encounter the Flying Dutchman? Why is it cursed? And is it still out there, waiting for its next victim? If you dare, and want to uncover the full story of the Flying Dutchman, watch the full video. You won't want to miss what happens next. The link will be in the comments below.
Under the flickering neon sign of Tuna Alley Market, Whiskers and Paws, the town's finest feline detectives, prowled the shadows with silent paws. Fish had been vanishing nightly, and every whisker in the alley twitched with suspicion. Whiskers flicked his tail, eyes sharp and gleaming. "It's the work of a mastermind," he declared, nose twitching at the faint scent of sardines lingering in the air. Paws, chewing thoughtfully on a stray feather, pointed to a faint trail of shimmering fish scales leading behind Old Man Jenkins' fishmonger stall. Silently they slinked after the clues, tails low, ears perked for any sound. Suddenly, a rustling noise broke the stillness. Out popped Benny the raccoon, belly round and face smeared with oily mackerel. "Caught fish-handed!" Paws mewed triumphantly, eyes narrowing. Benny shrugged, paws raised in mock surrender. "Couldn't resist the midnight buffet," he admitted with a sly grin. Whiskers and Paws exchanged a knowing glance, then escorted the cheeky thief to the market's edge, tails held high in victory. With the fish thief unmasked, the cats returned to their favorite windowsill, basking in the warm glow of a solved case and the promise of tomorrow's fishy adventures. The town settled into peaceful slumber once again, safe under the watchful eyes of its feline sleuths. On a sleepy afternoon, Whiskers the cat prowled through the dusty attic, chasing drifting dust motes and playful shadows. Amid the clutter of forgotten treasures, something peculiar caught her eye, a slender paintbrush with bristles that shimmered every color of the rainbow, glowing softly in the dim light. Curious, Whiskers reached out and batted it gently with her paw. Instantly, a swirl of vibrant colors erupted, painting the air itself in dazzling streaks that twisted and twirled like living ribbons. Startled, she leapt back, her tail puffed high in surprise. Yet curiosity tugged her closer, and she tapped the brush again. This time, it danced across the wooden floor, leaving trails of ever-changing patterns. Flowers that bloomed and faded in moments, butterflies that fluttered away as if alive, and tiny fish that swam through puddles of shimmering color. Delighted, Whiskers chased the brush, painting her world anew with every leap and paw swipe. The attic transformed into a living tapestry of shifting hues and shapes, a magical playground of light and color. As dusk settled outside, the colors slowly faded, leaving Whiskers curled atop a masterpiece of her own making, her dreams swirling with the promise of another magical day to come. Every night, Leo placed his paintbrush carefully on the windowsill, hoping for a spark of inspiration to ignite his creativity. One quiet evening, as moonlight spilled across his room, a strange shimmer caught his eye. A swirl of color danced mysteriously along the bristles. Intrigued, Leo dipped the brush into his vibrant palette and swept a bold, sweeping arc across his blank canvas. Instantly, the colors lifted off the page, swirling around him like a living, breathing rainbow. The room spun gently, and suddenly, Leo found himself riding a wave of vibrant hues through a dazzling, ever-changing dreamscape. Crimson rivers flowed beneath floating emerald trees, sapphire birds soared gracefully overhead, and golden bridges arched magnificently across the sky. Leo laughed with delight, guiding his brush to shape the world around him. A friendly fox sprang to life from a splash of orange, and a majestic castle gleamed in the distance, built from shimmering shades of lavender. As the dream world unfurled before him, Leo realized the brush obeyed his every wish. With each stroke, new adventures blossomed, and endless possibilities stretched out before him. When dawn crept softly in, the colors gently set him back in his room, the brush humming softly, ready and waiting for the next magical journey. The sky above Willow Valley burned with streaks of fiery light. Every year, the meteor showers returned, threatening the fields with blazing fragments. This time, they came early, and the crops, golden wheat nearly ready for harvest, stood vulnerable under the darkened sky. Milo, a boy with quick feet and quicker thinking, watched the horizon as the first meteors fell like fiery arrows. He sprinted across the fields, clutching a bundle of tarps and rope. He darted between rows, covering the most fragile sprouts, tying down tarps to shield them from the falling embers. Meteors hissed past, setting patches of dry grass alight in sudden bursts of flame. Milo grabbed buckets from the well, dousing tiny fires before they could spread and consume the fields. His arms ached, sweat mixing with soot on his skin, but he pressed on, racing the burning rain with determination. At dawn, the sky cleared, revealing the battered but standing crops. Milo, soot-streaked and exhausted, surveyed the fields. Most of the wheat still stood, safe beneath makeshift covers. He grinned, knowing the village would have bread for winter. As neighbors gathered, sharing relief and gratitude, Milo's heart soared, proud of his midnight dash beneath the falling stars. Under the silver glow of a full moon, the city's grand museum stood silent and still. But in the shadow of a marble lion, two unlikely figures waited: Benny the raccoon, nimble and clever, and Pip the squirrel, quick and daring. Benny adjusted his tiny black mask, whispering, "Ready, Pip?" Pip nodded, her bushy tail twitching with excitement and nerves. They scurried up the ivy-covered wall, slipping through a slightly open window left ajar by a careless night guard. Inside, the museum was a maze of glass cases and polished marble floors that gleamed under the moonlight filtering through skylights. Benny led the way, his paws silent as whispers, eyes sharp for any sign of trouble. Pip followed closely, darting past ancient vases and glittering jewels, her heart pounding with every step. Their goal sparkled ahead, a golden acorn, centerpiece of the woodland exhibit, rumored to bring luck to whoever held it. Benny nudged the display case with practiced skill, careful not to disturb the delicate balance. Pip squeezed through a narrow gap, gently rolling the acorn free onto a soft cloth. Suddenly, a soft click echoed. The security mouse, a tiny mechanical guardian, had woken. Benny and Pip froze, ears perked, then bolted, racing down the hall as alarms blinked red and echoed through the cavernous rooms. They tumbled out the window, golden acorn in tow, disappearing into the moonlit night, giggling breathlessly at their perfectly executed midnight mischief and the thrill of their daring adventure. Dust billowed behind the lone rider as he urged his weary mare forward, the sun dipping low over the endless plains. Silas Boone's breath came ragged, heart pounding to the rhythm of hooves pounding earth beneath him. Behind him, distant shouts echoed, pursuers hungry for justice or perhaps the bounty on his head. In the saddlebag, a faded photograph reminded him of why he ran, a promise to a sister waiting far beyond the horizon. The wind tugged at his hat, stinging his eyes with grit, but he pressed on, guided by the distant silhouette of a solitary butte rising against the fiery sky. Night crept in, swallowing the world in velvet shadow. Silas paused, scanning the dark, and caught the glint of lanterns far behind, flickering like restless ghosts. He whispered reassurance to his horse, pressing onward through tangled sage and dry brush. At dawn, the air was cool and silent, the plains stretching endlessly before him. Silas reached the river, a ribbon of silver hope cutting through the barren land. He plunged in, water biting cold, and emerged on the far bank, gasping for breath. Behind him, the lanterns faded, swallowed by morning mist and distance. For now, Silas was free. The horizon beckoned, wide and wild, promising a new beginning beyond the reach of those who chased him. At dawn, the royal zoo buzzed with excitement. Last night, the king's golden crown mysteriously vanished from its display case. The zookeeper, Mr. Finch, was baffled and worried. but the animals sensed something was amiss and knew they had to act quickly. Leo the lion called together his closest friends, Tilly the clever parrot, Benny the sneaky raccoon, and Ella the swift otter. Tilly took to the sky, soaring high above the enclosures, and soon spotted a faint trail of glittering gold feathers leading toward the monkey habitat. Benny slipped through narrow gaps in the bars, following the shiny clues on the ground, while Ella glided silently through the pond, ready to block any escape routes. In the dim shadows of the trees, they discovered a group of mischievous monkeys juggling the crown, giggling as they tossed it between the branches. The animals quickly devised a plan. Tilly distracted the monkeys with her dazzling, colorful feathers. Benny nimbly climbed the tallest trees, and Ella splashed water to startle the playful troop. Suddenly, the crown tumbled down, landing safely in Leo's mighty paws. As the sun rose, Mr. Finch found the crown gleaming once again in its case, completely unaware of the wild teamwork and cleverness that had saved the day. At precisely midnight, the town's library awakened. Its doors, always locked by day, creaked open under the moon's silvery gaze. Cloaked in shadows, Nora tiptoed inside, clutching a battered satchel filled with carefully chosen items. She navigated the labyrinth of towering shelves, heart thrumming with anticipation and a hint of nervous excitement. In the farthest alcove, a flicker of candlelight revealed Mr. Finch, the librarian, waiting with a knowing smile that spoke of countless secret exchanges. Without a word, Nora placed her satchel on the desk and slid it towards him. In return, Mr. Finch offered a slim, leather-bound volume, its cover embossed with a golden owl that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Each night, books changed hands, never the same, always filled with stories that couldn't be found in any catalog or public record. Nora opened the book carefully, and the words shimmered and danced on the page, promising adventure beyond the printed page, worlds unseen by ordinary eyes. She left as quietly as she'd come, the exchange complete, her secret safe beneath the watchful stars. Outside, the clock struck 1, its chime echoing softly through the empty streets. The library's doors closed behind her, guarding the night's mysteries until the next clandestine trade under the veil of darkness. Rain pattered softly on the explorer's hood as she pushed deeper into the forgotten forest, her boots sinking into the thick mossy ground. The narrow path, long choked by brambles and fallen leaves, ended abruptly at a toppled ancient tree. Something glinted faintly beneath its tangled roots, a weathered camera, caked in mud and grime, its cracked lens still intact. A shiver of curiosity prickled her skin. She knelt, brushing away dirt and debris, then pressed a button. The screen flickered to life, revealing grainy footage, deer grazing quietly, a fox darting swiftly through underbrush, and in one chilling frame, a pair of eyes reflecting coldly in the darkness. The explorer's breath caught. She fast-forwarded through the clips. More shadows, more eyes, unblinking, watching silently from the trees. The dates stretched back decades, each clip capturing the woods in every season. Snow-laden branches, golden leaves drifting down, thick summer green. Yet the eyes remained, always in the background, always watching. A cold wind whispered through the branches, and she shivered, pocketing the camera. As she turned to leave, the forest seemed to hush, as if holding its breath. She glanced back once more. In the gloom, something watched her, just out of sight, waiting patiently to be seen. The sun beat down on the cracked earth, heat shimmering in the distance like a mirage. Jed squinted, his hand hovering near the worn leather of his belt. Across from him, May stood tall and steady, eyes narrowed with quiet fire, boots planted firm in the sand. Between them, silence stretched, broken only by the distant cry of a hawk circling overhead. "Give me back what's mine, May," Jed said, voice rough as gravel, edged with desperation. May's lips curled into a half-smile, cool and unyielding. "You lost her fair and square, Jed. Cards don't lie, no matter how much you wish they would." Jed's fingers twitched, restless. "That horse was all I had left in this world." May's gaze softened, just for a fleeting moment, before stealing again like tempered steel. "If you want her back, you'll have to earn her. No shortcuts." Sweat traced slow lines down Jed's brow as the air thickened with the scent of sagebrush and challenge. They circled each other, boots kicking up dry dust, eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. Suddenly, Jed lunged forward, but May was quicker, sidestepping with the grace of a dancer. In a blur, she tapped his shoulder. then tossed a small cold iron key at his feet. "The stable's down the road, behind the old windmill. Next time, play smarter, Joe." He stared, stunned, heart pounding, as May turned and strode away, the endless desert swallowing her silhouette beneath the blazing sun. Before dawn, Edgar, a young baker, dusted flour across his wooden counter. The oven's warmth filled the air as he kneaded dough, humming softly. Suddenly his foot caught on a loose stone tile. Curious, he pried it up and peered into the darkness below, discovering a small velvet pouch. Inside, nestled in folds of ancient cloth, was a pendant, a chunk of golden amber, warm as sunlight, encased in intricate filigree. Edgar's heart raced. The amulet shimmered with an inner glow, its surface etched with symbols he didn't recognize. He tucked it close, feeling a strange comfort. That afternoon, an old scholar visited the bakery, drawn by whispers of the find. With trembling hands, she studied the pendant and gasped. It was the long-lost royal amulet, missing for generations, believed to bring prosperity to its bearer. Edgar offered it to her, but she shook her head. "It found you for a reason," she said. The bakery flourished, and villagers swore luck had returned to their town. Edgar wore the amulet daily, a simple baker with a royal secret, forever changed by his unexpected discovery. On a sleepy afternoon, Whiskers the cat prowled through the dusty attic, chasing drifting dust motes and playful shadows. Amid the clutter of forgotten treasures, something peculiar caught her eye, a slender paintbrush with bristles that shimmered every color of the rainbow, glowing softly in the dim light. Curious, Whiskers reached out and batted it gently with her paw. Instantly, a swirl of vibrant colors erupted, painting the air itself in dazzling streaks that twisted and twirled like living ribbons. Startled, she leapt back, her tail puffed high in surprise. Yet curiosity tugged her closer, and she tapped the brush again. This time, it danced across the wooden floor, leaving trails of ever-changing patterns. Flowers that bloomed and faded in moments, butterflies that fluttered away as if alive, and tiny fish that swam through puddles of shimmering color. Delighted, Whiskers chased the brush, painting her world anew with every leap and paw swipe. The attic transformed into a living tapestry of shifting hues and shapes, a magical playground of light and color. As dusk settled outside, the colors slowly faded, leaving Whiskers curled atop a masterpiece of her own making, her dreams swirling with the promise of another magical day to come. In a quiet village, nestled between winding cobblestone streets, stood Mr. Pindle's clock shop, filled with clocks of every shape and size. Among the ticking wonders, an old brass clock named Tockley sat forgotten on the highest shelf, its hands frozen stubbornly at 3:17. One stormy night, as thunder rattled the windows and rain lashed against the glass, Tockley felt a peculiar warmth stirring deep inside its gears. With a determined tick, it summoned all the strength hidden in its worn springs. Deep within, a tiny cog, long out of place, slowly twisted itself back into perfect alignment. Tockley's pendulum, which had long rested still, began to sway gently. With each steady swing, the clock's hands crept forward, minute by minute, until finally they matched the true time outside. As dawn broke, casting golden light through the shop, Mr. Pindle entered and gasped in surprise. Tockley chimed, clear and proud, announcing the hour for the first time in many years. Villagers soon gathered, marveling at the unexpected miracle. Tockley, once forgotten and silent, became the pride of the shop once more. From that day forward, the old clock never lost time again, as if the magic of that stormy night had woven itself into its very ticking heart. In the gentle rhythm of its chimes, hope quietly echoed through the village. Ellie had always wondered what ticked behind the heavy wooden doors of the old clock tower at the edge of town. One gray afternoon, as rain drummed steadily on the cobblestones, she noticed the door was slightly ajar. Heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity, she slipped inside. The air was thick with dust and the faint scent of machine oil. Massive gears, some larger than she was tall, loomed overhead, frozen in time. The silence was strange. Hadn't the clock always chimed at noon? As she wandered deeper into the shadowy space, a glint caught her eye between the gears. Carefully, Ellie reached in and pulled out a tiny brass key tied to a faded ribbon. Her eyes scanned the walls until she spotted a small keyhole hidden behind a loose wooden panel. With a gentle twist, the panel swung open, revealing a narrow spiral staircase winding upward. Ellie climbed cautiously, emerging into a secret chamber where walls were covered in intricate sketches and faded notes. In the center stood a detailed model of the town, its rooftops dotted with tiny silver pins. She realized the clock tower had been the heart of a great puzzle, quietly tracking the town's hidden stories and forgotten moments. As she descended and stepped outside, the clock's chimes rang out, echoing secrets only she now knew. In a cluttered attic workshop, eccentric inventor Elsie toiled over her newest creation, a tiny feline made from brass, copper, and delicate springs. She carefully wound the key nestled in its back, holding her breath as gears clicked and whirred into place. With a soft mechanical hum, the miniature cat stretched, arching its metallic spine and blinking emerald glass eyes that caught the light like precious gems. Elsie grinned, her heart thumping with triumph and relief. She placed the creature gently on her desk, where it padded gracefully among scattered blueprints, batting playfully at stray paper clips and curling up atop a spool of thread. Each movement was precise, yet uncannily lifelike, a testament to Elsie's patience, skill, and boundless imagination. Outside, rain tapped softly against the window pane, and the little cat nuzzled against her wrist, purring with a faint, soothing mechanical hum. Elsie whispered, "You're perfect." As dusk settled, she watched her creation chase shadows cast by flickering candlelight, filling the quiet room with a gentle magic. For the first time in years, Elsie felt truly accompanied, her invention sparking joy and wonder in every delicate tick and purr. Under the cloak of midnight, the city's grand museum stood silent and still, its halls bathed in moonlight. But beneath the towering marble steps, Whiskers, an agile tabby with a taste for adventure, slipped through a cracked window left carelessly ajar. Her emerald eyes gleamed as she padded softly across polished floors, her delicate paws making no sound. She darted between marble statues, weaving past ancient vases and priceless canvases that whispered stories of centuries past. Suddenly, she spotted a shimmering fish painted on a canvas, its scales glinting as if alive. Entranced, Whiskers leapt toward it, her tail brushing a nearby pedestal. A golden mask perched atop it wobbled, teetered, and clattered to the ground with a sharp crash. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and shadows danced wildly on the walls. Startled, Whiskers dashed up a velvet rope, leaving tiny paw prints smeared across a centuries-old tapestry. Guards rushed in, chasing echoes and flickering tails, but Whiskers was always a step ahead, slipping through narrow corridors and hidden alcoves. With a nimble leap, she escaped through an open skylight, vanishing into the cool night air. By dawn, the museum buzzed with questions and theories, but only Whiskers knew the true cause of the midnight mischief. Eli laced up his sneakers, headphones in, and slipped into the cool embrace of midnight. The city was asleep, its lights twinkling faintly against the deep, inky sky. As he rounded his usual corner near the old park, a sudden streak of light tore through the darkness. A meteor, blazing green and fierce, crashed into the grass just ahead with a soft thud. Heart pounding, Eli sprinted closer, curiosity overtaking caution. There, nestled in a smoking crater, lay a small, luminescent charm, pulsing with an otherworldly glow that seemed to breathe. Without thinking, he reached down and picked it up. A surge of energy shot through him, electric and wild, as if the charm had awakened something inside. The world sharpened, colors brightened, distant sounds became clear, and Eli felt lighter, faster, almost weightless. He darted down the path, feet barely touching the ground, moving with impossible speed and grace. The charm hummed softly in his palm, a silent promise of new possibilities and hidden strength. As dawn crept over the horizon, Eli stood atop a rooftop, the city sprawling below, heart racing with the thrill of transformation. His life would never be ordinary again. Beneath a thick blanket of attic dust, a small bear with one button eye waited patiently. Once loved deeply, now forgotten and alone, he listened as the seasons changed outside the cracked window. His fur, once a bright golden hue, was now faded and worn, but he still remembered the laughter, the gentle hugs, and the warmth of being held close. One chilly autumn afternoon, the attic door creaked open. A curious young girl, searching for adventure and hidden treasures, discovered the bear tucked among old boxes and broken lamps. She lifted him gently, brushing away years of neglect and dust. His stitched smile seemed to brighten under her kind gaze. Carefully, she carried him downstairs, where sunlight spilled warmly across the wooden floor. With tender hands, she patched his torn seams and tied a bright red ribbon around his neck. That night, nestled beside her pillow, the bear felt a heartbeat close to his own. He listened to bedtime stories, shared whispered secrets, and watched dreams unfold in the quiet dark. No longer silent or alone, he found comfort in the soft rhythm of her breathing. In this new place, he was cherished once more, his story beginning anew in the arms of someone who needed him most. Milo wandered into the attic, dust motes swirling in golden sunlight that filtered through the small window. He was searching for adventure, but all he found was an old piano, its keys yellowed and chipped with age. Curiosity tugged at his fingers, and he hesitated before pressing a single note. It rang out, clear and sweet, but beneath the melody, a faint metallic clink echoed. Intrigued, Milo knelt and peered beneath the piano. There, wedged between wooden slats, was a tiny, intricate key. He eased it out carefully, marveling at its delicate design. A treble clef wound gracefully around the handle. With trembling hands, Milo slid the key into a small hidden lock just above the keyboard. The piano trembled softly, then suddenly, music burst forth, notes swirling and shimmering like fireflies in the air. The room filled with vibrant color and light, and Milo saw memories unfurl before him. A young woman playing, laughter swirling around her, dreams floating on every note she played. The piano's magic had been waiting, lonely and silent, for someone to unlock its heart. As the last note faded into the quiet attic, Milo smiled, knowing he'd found more than just a key. He'd discovered a secret world of wonder, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be explored. Milo always came in last. He watched others blur past, their laughter echoing behind them like distant music. One cloudy afternoon, while wandering near the old park, Milo spotted a pair of shoes dangling from a twisted tree branch, a strange shimmering pair with laces that seemed to hum softly in the breeze. Curious, he reached up and slipped them on. Instantly, the world shifted around him. With each step, the ground seemed to glide beneath his feet, as if the earth itself was helping him move. He darted down sidewalks, his feet barely touching the pavement, wind singing joyfully in his ears. The air smelled fresh, like rain and endless possibility. Neighbors stopped and waved, startled by his newfound swiftness. Milo leapt over puddles, zipped around corners, and felt lighter than air, as if he could float. At the tallest hill, he paused to catch his breath. The city stretched before him, bathed in golden evening sunlight. He ran again, faster than ever, feeling unstoppable and free. But as he slowed, breathless and grinning, he realized the shoes weren't just magic, they believed in him, and now he believed in himself. Milo walked home, shoes twinkling softly, heart soaring with hope. He was no longer last. He was exactly where he wanted to be. Timmy trudged down Maple Lane, his backpack bouncing with every step. He spotted a shimmer at the edge of the sidewalk, a golden ticket, glinting brightly in the afternoon sun. Curious, he bent down and picked it up, feeling its smooth, warm surface. The swirling script read, "Admit one to where dreams begin." As Timmy turned the ticket over, a sudden breeze swirled around him, lifting leaves in a spiraling dance. The world around him blurred and shifted. When it cleared, Timmy found himself standing before a towering gate made entirely of peppermint sticks and sparkling, twinkling lights. The ticket pulsed warmly in his hand, as if urging him forward. Without hesitation, he slipped through the gate. Inside, laughter echoed all around, and fantastical creatures danced beneath floating lanterns that glowed softly in the twilight. Timmy joined a parade of singing turtles and juggling rabbits, his worries melting away with every joyful step. He tasted rainbow-swirled ice cream that sparkled on his tongue and soared high on a cloud-shaped swing that floated gently through the air. Hours passed like minutes in this magical place. When Timmy finally blinked, he was back on Maple Lane. The golden ticket vanished without a trace. But his pockets brimmed with shimmering confetti, and his heart glowed with a secret magic only he could remember. At the stroke of midnight, Leo and Maya burst out of the corner cafe, clutching a gleaming silver trophy. Their laughter echoed off the empty streets, but urgency pressed them forward with every hurried step. Earlier that evening, the trophy had become the centerpiece of their impromptu celebration, borrowed, just for a moment, from the locked display case at the old rec center. Now, guilt gnawed at Leo's conscience, and Maya's eyes darted nervously at every passing car and shadow. They zigzagged through neon-lit alleys and over silent crosswalks, breathless but determined to make it back in time. The city around them seemed unusually still, as if holding its breath for their secret mission. As they neared the rec center, Leo's hands trembled while fumbling with the keys, palms slick with sweat, and Maya kept a sharp lookout for any sign of the night guard. The trophy slid back into its spot with a gentle clink, just as distant footsteps echoed faintly in the hall. They ducked behind a row of lockers, hearts pounding wildly, waiting for the guard to pass by without noticing. When silence returned, the friends slipped away into the night, the weight of the trophy replaced by relief, and the unforgettable thrill of a midnight dash neither would ever forget. The old railway station lay silent under the moon, except for the soft patter of tiny paws and the shadow that pursued them relentlessly. Pip, a nimble gray mouse with bright eyes, zipped across the cold metal rails, his heart pounding as the gleaming eyes of Whiskers, the station cat, glowed menacingly behind him. The midnight train's whistle pierced the quiet night, wheels screeching as it slowed to a stop. Pip darted beneath a parked luggage cart, barely dodging Whiskers' swift, reaching paw. Spotting a loose string dangling from a burlap sack near the platform's edge, Pip scampered up and began gnawing swiftly. The sack's contents, a pile of golden grain, spilled out, cascading down the steps in a noisy avalanche. Whiskers slipped on the tiny kernels, tumbling in a flurry of fur and frustration. Seizing his chance, Pip leapt onto the train's lowest step just as it began to pull away. As Whiskers scrambled to regain his footing, the train rolled into the darkness, carrying Pip to safety. The moonlight glimmered on the rails, and Pip's tiny silhouette faded into the night, victorious and free. Dust motes danced in the dim light as Elias traced his fingers along the endless shelves of parchment and leather-bound tomes. Whispers of a lost manuscript, said to contain forgotten wisdom, had lured him across oceans to this ancient library. Each evening he pored over dusty catalogs, deciphered fading ledgers, and questioned the few caretakers left who still remembered old tales. Most dismissed the legend as mere myth, but Elias's resolve only hardened with every passing day. On the seventh night, as rain tapped softly against stained glass windows, he noticed a misfiled ledger tucked behind a marble statue. The entry, dated centuries ago, referenced a hidden alcove concealed beneath the archives. Heart-pounding, Elias followed cryptic directions, navigating twisting, shadowed corridors until he found a narrow stone stairwell spiraling downward. At its end, a small chamber awaited, filled with relics unseen for generations. There, atop a dust-covered pedestal, rested the manuscript, its cover etched with symbols of a forgotten age. With trembling hands, Elias opened it, the fragile pages revealing words that illuminated truths long buried. His quest fulfilled at last. In the heart of Willowmere stood a tiny shop with dusty windows and a faded sign, Alara's Curiosities. One rainy afternoon, Alara discovered a peculiar clock tucked behind old jars and forgotten trinkets. Its face was painted with delicate songbirds, each feather finely detailed, and with every tick, a soft, clear note chimed like a gentle breeze through leaves. Curious, she carefully wound it up, and a warm, gentle melody began to fill the air, weaving through the quiet streets. That evening, neighbors paused outside her shop, enchanted by the unexpected sound that seemed to brighten the gloomy day. The next morning, townsfolk found themselves humming the tune as they went about their routines. Even the grumpy baker smiled as he kneaded dough in rhythm, his usual scowl softened by the melody. Soon, the clock's gentle song became the heartbeat of Willowmere. Strangers greeted each other with nods and whistles, their moods lifted. Arguments faded, replaced by laughter and shared moments of kindness. Children skipped to school, inventing dances to the cheerful notes that floated on the breeze. The mayor, intrigued by the sudden change, visited Elara and asked about the secret behind the clock's magic. She only smiled warmly, pointing to the delicate timepiece. It needed no explanation, everyone simply felt its quiet power. In time, Willowmere became known as the most harmonious town for miles, all thanks to a little clock and its enchanting songbird chimes. Willowbrook had grown silent after the storm. Windows stayed shuttered, laughter vanished from the winding streets, and sorrow hung in the air like an early morning fog that refused to lift. One evening, as dusk painted the sky with gentle hues of pink and gold, a a curious breeze drifted through the forest that bordered the town. It carried with it a tapestry of soft sounds, rustling leaves, distant streams, and the gentle tap of branches swaying in rhythm. At first, only the children noticed. They pressed their ears to the cold window panes, eyes wide in wonder at the delicate symphony outside. Soon, elders ventured out, drawn by the soothing whispers that seemed to promise comfort and peace. The sound wound its way through alleys and gardens, coaxing neighbors to gather in the square beneath the stars. There, beneath the ancient oak, whose limbs stretched wide like open arms, townsfolk closed their eyes and listened deeply. The forest's gentle harmony eased their worries, and smiles slowly returned to faces once shadowed by grief. Each night, the community gathered, letting the whispers mend their hearts and stitch their spirits back together. Over time, Willowbrook's silence faded, replaced by renewed hope and the gentle echoes of the healing forest's embrace. Mira wandered into the grove as dusk painted the sky with shades of purple and gold. The willow stood at its heart, its long branches swaying gently in a windless hush. She paused, drawn by a peculiar rustling, soft whispers hidden in the leaves. "Hello?" she whispered, unsure if anyone could answer. The willow's trunk trembled softly. "You hear me?" murmured a voice older than the hills themselves. Mira's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you really talking?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. The willow's branches dipped low, brushing her shoulder like a gentle hand. "Long have I waited for someone to listen," it sighed, its voice full of ancient sorrow and hope. "Why me?" Mira asked, heart pounding with wonder. "You believe," the willow replied, "and belief is the door to wonders unseen." The tree spoke of ancient roots that stretched beneath the earth, of river songs carried on the breeze, of creatures that danced in moonlight and dreams stitched into bark. Mira listened, enchanted, asking questions until stars blinked awake in the night sky. As dawn neared, the willow's leaves shimmered silver in the early light. "Will you return?" it asked softly. Mira smiled, promise shining bright in her eyes. "Always," she whispered. She left the grove, carrying stories only she and the willow would ever share, her world forever changed by their secret friendship. Maya's favorite place was Grandma's attic, where dust motes danced in sunlight and forgotten treasures waited patiently. Today, while exploring, she discovered a narrow wooden drawer hidden beneath a stack of faded, leather-bound books. Inside, a bundle of yellowed notes rested, each covered in strange, swirling symbols. Maya's heart thumped with excitement and curiosity. She carefully studied the first note, tracing the curvy shapes with her finger. At first, it looked like gibberish, but then a pattern emerged. Every third letter formed a word: apple. The next note revealed pear. Maya grinned widely. It was a code. She spent the entire afternoon unraveling each message: grape, berry, melon. She scribbled the fruits on a scrap of paper, feeling like a detective. Then she noticed a loose floorboard beneath the drawer. Her pulse quickened as she pried it open slowly. Inside, a small tin box gleamed softly in the dim light. She opened it to find a handful of colorful marbles and a tiny tag that read, "For the clever one who cracks the code." Maya laughed, hugging the treasure close. The attic felt even more special now, a place where secrets waited patiently for those curious enough to look, and every drawer might hide a tiny adventure just waiting to be found. At the stroke of midnight, a velvet paw pressed softly against the museum's glass door. Moonlight spilled onto polished marble floors, casting long shadows that flickered and danced with every flick of a tail. Whiskers, the city's most elusive feline, slinked through the silent halls, her ears twitching at every faint echo. Tonight, something special called to her, a gleaming statue perched atop a pedestal in the heart of the grand gallery. She paused, eyeing the red velvet ropes and the blinking red dot of a nearby security camera. With a nimble leap, she slipped past the barriers, moving silently between ancient vases and towering suits of armor. Her emerald eyes never wavered from the prize. Just as a guard's flashlight swept the corridor, Whiskers flattened herself against the cold stone wall, blending perfectly into the darkness. The light passed and she pounced, landing gracefully beside the statue. Her nose twitched. She batted the golden mouse-shaped statue, sending it spinning slowly around. Satisfied, she curled up beneath its base, tail wrapped tight, and purred herself to sleep, the museum's secret midnight queen, guarding her treasure until dawn. Imagine a future where crops grow on Mars, thriving in greenhouses powered by the sun. But there's a problem: no bees to pollinate them. That's where MIT's tiny flying robot comes in. Smaller than a paperclip, this marvel of engineering can flip, hover, and zip through the air with incredible precision. It's designed to mimic the agility of real insects, making it an ideal candidate for pollinating plants in environments where traditional pollinators can't survive. The robot's lightweight frame and advanced controls allow it to navigate tight spaces, land delicately on flowers, and even perform aerial tricks like spelling out MIT mid-flight. On Earth, this breakthrough could help indoor farms and greenhouses that struggle with declining bee populations. But on Mars, it's a game changer, enabling sustainable agriculture in a place where bees simply can't exist. By combining robotics, artificial intelligence, and inspiration from nature, MIT's creation could ensure food security for future space explorers and help address pollination challenges here at home. Tiny robot, massive potential. Like and subscribe for more interesting videos. Before dawn, Edgar, a young baker, dusted flour across his wooden counter. The oven's warmth filled the air as he kneaded dough, humming softly. Suddenly his foot caught on a loose stone tile. Curious, he pried it up and peered into the darkness below, discovering a small, velvet pouch. Inside, nestled in folds of ancient cloth, was a pendant. A chunk of golden amber, warm as sunlight, encased in intricate filigree. Edgar's heart raced. The amulet shimmered with an inner glow, its surface etched with symbols he didn't recognize. He tucked it close, feeling a strange comfort. That afternoon, an old scholar visited the bakery, drawn by whispers of the find. With trembling hands, she studied the pendant and gasped. It was the long-lost royal amulet, missing for generations, believed to bring prosperity to its bearer. Edgar offered it to her, but she shook her head. "It found you for a reason," she said. The bakery flourished, and villagers swore luck had returned to their town. Edgar wore the amulet daily, a simple baker with a royal secret, forever changed by his unexpected discovery.